What if I told you that in the time it takes to get through college, our own technology could advance so much that it just slips out of our control forever? That's the whole idea behind the technological singularity. But is it the key to solving, all of our problems, or is it maybe the beginning of the end for humanity as we know it?
Let's just start with a number. 5. As in 5 years. Seriously. That's the timeline that some experts are now putting on the moment our technology could become totally uncontrollable. We're not talking about science fiction in some distant future. This is a warning about right now. So that 5-year warning, it forces us to ask this huge question you see here. Are we about to cross a point of no return? A moment where technology just starts growing so fast and gets so complex that it's completely beyond our control, changing our world in ways we literally can't even begin to imagine. So let's break down what that really means. Okay, so what is the singularity anyway? It's a term you might have heard floating around for decades, but all of a sudden it's gone from being this far-off, nerdy concept to a very real and very urgent debate. So here's the official definition. The best way to think about it is like a threshold. And the two words you really have to focus on here are uncontrollable and irreversible. This isn't just about our phones getting a bit faster next year. No, this is about a fundamental shift where AI starts improving itself, kicking off this runaway cycle of growth that just leaves human intelligence in the dust.
And this idea isn't new at all. You can trace it all the way back to the 1950s with the mathematician John von Neumann. Then, decades later, a computer scientist named Werner Vinge gave it the whole superhuman intelligence angle. And of course, by 2005, Ray Kurzweil's famous book brought the whole concept into the mainstream. So this isn't some recent panic. It's got a long, serious intellectual history behind it. Okay, so if the singularity is a potential destination, what's the engine that's getting us there at such a crazy speed? Let's take a look at the actual tech that's fueling this whole thing. It pretty much boils down to 3 key drivers. First, and this is the big one, artificial intelligence. It's developing at what some experts are calling peak velocity. Then you've got quantum computing, which could solve problems our current computers couldn't solve in a billion years. And finally, nanotechnology, engineering things at the atomic level. But here's the kicker. They're not working alone. Each one makes the others more powerful, creating this wild feedback loop of explosive progress. But here's a fascinating little twist. Some models actually predict that this current wave of AI development might start to level off, plateau, in about 10 to 15 years. But, and this is a huge but, that's only if we don't have another major breakthrough. And let's be honest, in a field moving this fast, a game-changing breakthrough could happen tomorrow and just throw that entire timeline right out the window. And this brings us right to the heart of the whole debate. For every incredible promise of the singularity, there is an equally terrifying risk. It feels like we're standing at a fork in the road, right? One path could lead to a kind of utopia, and the other, well, it leads somewhere else entirely. On one side of the coin, you have this incredible promise, an intelligence powerful enough to solve our biggest problems, from curing diseases to fixing climate change. I mean, a massive leap forward for all of humanity. But then you flip that coin over and you see the peril. Job displacement on a scale we have never seen before. Deep ethical crises we're not ready for. And yeah, even a potential existential threat to our entire species. It really is the highest stakes gamble in all of human history. Let's just put a number on one of those perils. Job displacement. 375 million. According to the McKinsey Global Institute, that's how many people around the world might need to find a completely new line of work by 2030 because of automation. This isn't just some wild guess. It's a projection based on the path we are already on, right now. And these fears, they're not just in economic reports. They're all over our culture. I mean, think about movies like Blade Runner or Ex Machina. They tap directly into this collective anxiety, and they force us to ask what advanced AI means for our own identity, for what it even means to be human. These stories prove we've been wrestling with these big questions for a long, long time. So, with all these massive risks on the horizon, the obvious question becomes, can we actually control this thing? And that leads us to this huge search for some kind of governance and the kind of ethical leadership that this moment is crying out for. So, to try and manage all of this, experts are proposing these practical accountability frameworks. They mostly boil down to 4 steps. Step 1, Figure out the impact before you even roll a system out. Step 2, keep an eye on it constantly for risks. 3, have a clear plan for what to do when something inevitably goes wrong. And 4, build ethics into the process from the very beginning, not as some afterthought you tack on at the end.
But look, frameworks and rules are just not enough. The real secret sauce here is ethical leadership. We need leaders in tech and in government who are actually willing to push for transparency and accountability. And just as important, we need collaboration. The engineers building the AI have to be talking to the ethicists who are talking to the policymakers. Everybody working together.
So, where does all of this leave the rest of us? I mean, how is the public actually feeling about this tidal wave of change that seems to be heading right for us? Well, it's probably not a surprise that public sentiment is all over the map. You've got a big group of people who are filled with excitement, who see this as a new frontier of progress. Then you've got an equally large group filled with apprehension, worried about their jobs and the social impact. But the biggest group? Just plain uncertainty. People who are still just trying to wrap their heads around what it all means. It's this perfect storm of hope, fear, and confusion. And don't think for a second this is just a debate for us regular folks. This exact same anxiety is being felt in the halls of power. Government officials and top economic leaders are expressing what's been described as palpable concern over AI's potential to just completely disrupt society and shift the balance of global power. Everybody, at every level, is starting to pay very close attention. So, as we watch this technological curve just keep climbing, getting steeper and steeper almost every single day, we're all left with one final, profound question.
When our own creations become smarter than we are, what does that actually mean for our place in the universe? What is the purpose? What is the identity of humanity in a world where we are no longer the most intelligent beings? That is the question the Singularity leaves us with, and it's one we need to start thinking about right now.